What's an unfun fact? During World War I, the British intelligence service created a propaganda campaign that said the Germans were boiling their dead to extract fat and produce nitroglycerine to replenish their dwindling supply. This lie was exposed after the war and there was a considerable amount of public outrage when similar reports came back of the atrocities that the Nazis were committing during World War II. Most people dismissed them because of the boy who cried wolf situation 20 years earlier and really damaged the public opinion of the war, which no one wanted to repeat in the first place. Reputation is easily lost and hard to gain. Parvovirus can infect dogs and cats at any particular age and kill them pretty efficiently. It's especially good at doing this with puppies. There's no cure and no antiviral, just boosters and hydration IV you can give them. When a dog comes home healthy from the recovery from a parvo infection, they are contagious for 2 weeks, and if they pee, poop or vomit anywhere at all, including dog parks, that freaking virus is able to survive for up to a year, including in 100+ degree weather. Parvovirus sucks. I used to work at a local pet shop. They stopped selling puppies 16 years ago because they got a litter in and all 6 puppies had parvo. Only one survived and the owner kept that one dog and decided to never sell puppies again. That puppy is still alive today and is doing well. Around 1.5 million people die from TB annually, which is a disease consistently treatable by antibiotics in almost all cases. In most places where TB is endemic, HIV is also endemic, and you see a lot of comorbidity with those two. Even if people can afford and access antibiotics, their immune systems are often too compromised to fight it off. Fatal familial insomnia exists. It's a rare, incurable prionic brain disease that progressively destroys your brain's ability to sleep. Eventually you stop sleeping altogether, go insane, have seizures, and die. Prions are scary, no cure treatment, and mostly deadly, but they are rare. At least, if they became somehow common like a rhinovirus, humans would almost be wiped out. Brushtail possums are coprophagic, eat their own crap. They need their food to go through their digestive system twice to get all the nutrients. They're nocturnal, so spend the night eating eucalyptus and other plant leaves and flowers. During the day, they curl up into a little ball with their mouths close to their bums and eat the soft poo as it comes out in. Then while they're out at night, they poo out hard, long pellets of poo, having absorbed all the nutrients. That's just gross. There is a penguin species with sex practices that were so disturbing that the person studying it almost didn't publish his findings. It involved a lot of rape, necrophilia and pedophilia. Good thing only gentlemen and scholars could read his journal. Depends on what you find as fun, but King Henry VIII exploded in his coffin while the grave was being dug. The mess was cleared up by stray dogs. The youngest person to ever give birth was a Peruvian girl, Lina Medina, a Quechua Indian who gave birth to a child in 1939 at age 5. She had precocious puberty and had her first period at age 8 months. She may have been raped at a debauched indigenous religious festival where people often brought small children and rapes were known to occur. The man who raped her was never found, and she was silent about how she got pregnant. The delivery was by cesarean as vaginal delivery was deemed impossible. Her son was told that he was her little brother, and she also treated him in this manner. Obviously, she was an incompetent parent, preferring to play with dolls rather than tend to the baby, but that's to be expected. The case is well documented in medical journals, including photos of her pregnant body. It is also in the Guinness Book. She later married, had another son, went to work for the physician who delivered her, and lived a quite normal life. The son was healthy but died young at age 40. She and her family both refused all requests to speak of the case, including offers of significant sums of money. As of 2008, she was still alive at age 75 and living in a slum in Lima, Peru. If she is still alive, she would be 87 years old. Male cats have spines on their penises that rake the walls of a female's vagina to trigger ovulation and to hold the female in place while mating. I know for a fact the female cats were not consulted about this. The female tarantula hawk wasp stings a tarantula between the legs, paralyzes it, then drags the prey to a specially prepared burrow, where a single egg is laid on the spider's abdomen. and the entrance is covered. The sex of the larvae is determined by fertilization. Fertilized eggs produce females, while unfertilized eggs produce males. When the wasp larva hatches, it creates a small hole in the spider's abdomen, then enters and feeds voraciously, avoiding vital organs for as long as possible to keep the spider alive. After several weeks, the larva pupates. Finally, the wasp becomes an adult and emerges from the spider's abdomen to continue the life cycle. With a name like tarantula hawk wasp, of course it has to do something as badass and brutal as this. The singer of the Peanut Butter Jelly Time song died in an 11-hour-long police shootout in Las Vegas, all while his brother-in-law Snoop Dogg was trying desperately to calm him down. People who handle cockroaches develop allergies to them. This usually prevents them from drinking pre-ground coffee because of the cockroaches that get grounded in with the large batches. This is a viscerally unfun fact. That brain-eating amoebas exist at all, and is also pretty commonly found in freshwater ponds and lakes. Apparently only 4 people have survived getting it in the last 50 years. Deep-sea octopus babies take 5+ years to hatch, while mama octopus never leaves the nest to feed and dies when the babies hatch. She doesn't eat for 5+ years. At least she has her mate's detached penis to play with. Suicide bombers are a lot easier to identify post-mortem than you'd expect. This is because a blast from the suicide belt hits the base of the head in such a way that the head pops off like a cork. Investigators therefore have a relatively intact head to it. I like Billy Connolly's bit about training suicide bombers. Right, lads, pay attention. I'm only going to show you this once. There are only 2 states in the US that have outlawed child marriage. One of them only just put it into law a few weeks ago. 23 states don't even have an age limit on marriage. Scuba divers can experience a sudden change in pressure when swimming near pipes and will get sucked inside. Doesn't matter the size of the hole. It's called delta P. Worst part? Someone else usually has to go inside the pipe to remove the body. The video of the crab being sucked into the tiny crack in the pipe comes to mind when I read this. Every unborn baby grows a mustache in the womb, which then spreads to cover the entire body. The baby then eats the entire hair called lanugo, and excretes it after birth with their first bowel movement, which is a substance called meconium. This legitimately sounds like a made-up fact. I had to Google lanugo to confirm this was even a thing. Thanks for this trivia. When preparing a body for an open casket, the mortician will sew the person's jaw shut to keep their mouth from flopping open, and place special contact lenses on the eyes lined with hooks, both to keep the eyelid from snapping open due to shrinking tissues, and to give the eye a bit more natural bulge, as the eye tends to sink into the socket after death. You may have heard that South Koreans have a superstition called fan death, where if you keep a fan on too long it will kill you. The history of its origins is much darker. When people committed suicide and the coroner had to determine cause of death, they would say it was death by fan. This is to save the face of the family and not cause them shame. It eventually became a superstition and one that Westerners find funny. Finally, an explanation for this. My fault for not trying to find it out myself earlier, but at long last, an answer. Was wondering WTF this crap was about. First time I heard about it was when my ex, non-Korean, asked me, Korean by heritage, if me and all my family believed that leaving a fan on and going to sleep would kill us. As dead bodies decay, they burp or release gases. For this reason, caskets and mausoleums need to be ventilated so that the gas can escape. Chickens do this too. I had a hen die of a presumed heart attack. As I moved it from the coop it let out loud chicken noise that gave me an outer body experience. Female ducks get raped so frequently that they have a second decoy vagina that they can offer to intruders so they don't get pregnant by the duck they don't want to get pregnant by. Females' primary vaginas also are twisted with spikes at the ends to fend off male ducks. Unfortunately, male ducks' penises are also twisted. There could be some planets swimming in the deep space without suns and even without galaxies. And you can't even see stars from their surface. Absolute darkness. Creepier is that rogue planets can theoretically harbor life. Anne Frank's diary had details of masturbation in it, yet it was taken out by her father before publishing until recently. Well, to be fair, she was a teenager and a secret annex, and he was a father in the 1940s and 1950s. Both parts of the story are entirely acceptable. When the gas chambers were first assembled and experimented with at the Auschwitz concentration camp, the SS soldiers that oversaw the process found that the people inside would start screaming as soon as the gas agent was dropped in. The screaming was so loud that it could be heard through the thick walls of the building, and the victims would continue screaming over the course of 20 minutes until it gradually faded to nothing. The screaming disturbed the soldiers, believe it or not, so they tried to think of a way to drown out the noise so they didn't have to hear it. Their idea was to get 2 motorcycles and rev the engines as loudly as they could at the same time during those 20 minutes. It didn't work. There is a whale called 52 Blue that only sings at that frequency, meaning it can't communicate with other whales. It is nicknamed the loneliest whale on the planet. There's a theory that the whale is either deaf or a hybrid species of 2 different kinds of whale, making a song that is in between those two. The most common last words that are said before dying is typically something doesn't feel right or something is wrong. Of course, followed by a severe heart attack, stroke, whatever. Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. My best friend's last words were I feel faint as his aorta burst. Marlin in Finding Nemo should really turn into a woman and Nemo becomes the husband. That's what happens when the female dies. There's a film theory video that asserts this is gradually happening in the movies. There are at least 8 nuclear weapons known to be missing. How the heck do you lose a nuke? One day the last person who knows your name will die and you will be forgotten. You could still be alive when this happens. Piper Perry, the girl on the couch with 5 black guys behind her meme, came home from a shoot one night to find that her boyfriend had shaken her toddler to death. That's actually really freaking sad. On average, 12 children are sexually assaulted every 45 seconds. The sad part is, I instantly thought that fraction can be reduced. 4 children are sexually assaulted every 15 seconds is way more streamlined. Your voice on recordings is actually how your voice really sounds. Your voice in your head is a bit muffled and deeper, because the sound travels through your head instead of the air. That's why it feels weird to hear your own voice recorded. In my head I sound like Keanu Reeves, but in my recordings I sound like walrus squeaking. You know, when you search for businesses, and you see the maps and get directions and stuff, the companies aren't necessarily the best companies. They just paid a lot of money to pop up when you searched for them. I know because it's my job to manipulate the search. Lots of good companies have the budget to show up, but unfortunately, so do unethical companies. Fossilization is actually quite rare. It takes a very specific set of circumstances for something to even become a fossil, let alone have it survive to the modern day. This means there are likely millions of species of animals, plants, and other organisms that we will simply never know about because they either A. never fossilized, B. their fossils were destroyed, either naturally or by humans, C. the fossils are in an area not easily accessible to humans, like at the bottom of the ocean or under the ice in Antarctica. For all we know, there could have been an advanced civilization that existed before humans, but we may never know about them because any trace of their existence has been lost to time. Kinda makes you wonder if we're gonna end up that way. I'll give you 2. The most common cause of death for tall people is a heart attack, brought on by the fact that their hearts just naturally have to work harder than average to circulate all that blood through that larger body. Left-handed people are most likely to die in an accident involving a power tool, because they're all designed by right-handed people. For right-handed people, I'm tall, 6 feet 6.5 inches or 1.98 m, and I'm left-handed. Which one will it be for me? Oh, man. I almost killed myself with this right-handed power tool. My heart is really racing because of it. Dies. Trees actually only make roughly 20% of the world's oxygen, with the other 80% consisting of the algae phytoplankton. So simply planting trees isn't as effective as you'd think. That everyone can perceive me and have their own unique mental image of who I am, and that none of them, even my personal one, are wholly completely accurate. The most unfun part is that it can happen to you, too. The hyena's bite has a pressure of 1,100 pounds per square inch, 76 kg per square centimeter or 760 newtons per square centimeter. And a tiger does not have enough bite force to break the human femur. One of the few animals that does is the jaguar with 2000 c. Anglerfish mate by the male permanently grafting himself onto the female. As time goes on, everything that is no longer needs for the male, brain, eyes, etc., will deteriorate, leaving the reproductive organs. The male is now just a set of balls for the female to impregnate herself with. The sun is becoming hotter, and in about 1 billion years, the oceans will boil off and our atmosphere will be unable to sustain any form of life. There is a sunken boat in the English Channel near where I used to live called the SS Richard Montgomery. It is filled with live dynamite and, if disturbed, will explode, causing flooding in most of London and killing hundreds of people. Nothing has been done about it because American authorities claim the ship has been extracted safely and is no longer there, claiming to have photographic evidence as well as a receipt. It is still there to this day, and every day hundreds of ships pass the nearly sunk masts. A single mistake could mean catastrophe for London and the southeast of England. We still have half of 2020 left, so we got lots of time for more bad crap to happen. Male bedbugs impregnate females by stabbing their abdomen with their penis. That's not the unfun part. Bedbugs don't actually bite you. Good night, sleep tight, don't let the bedbugs rape you doesn't really have the same ring to it. Echidnas dongs have 5 tips. Long ago, humanity's ancestors, I believe Australopithecus, banged gorillas. We know this because modern human pubic lice are very similar to the lice that inhabit the fur of gorillas. The first surgery we had evidence of was trepanning, when humans drilled a freaking hole into the skull. But that's it. Thing is, men actually survived this procedure, as in some examples, the hole has evidence that the bone began healing. Many companies are still committing human rights violations against people for their own profit and potentially endangering many lives. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.